Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be talking about the Trump coin madness and the Melania meme and all this type of stuff. There's been a ton of really ridiculous things that have been happening over the past probably 24 to 36 hours. So I want to talk a little bit about that, talk about at least what I would be doing in this situation, what I am doing in this situation, a lot of that type of stuff, just because this is the type of thing that can happen now and again in crypto where things get pretty wild. And so we just need to make sure that we're prepared for them. We're not FOMOing in, we're not handling things in a way that we could be losing a whole bunch of money that we wouldn't need to be losing otherwise. Also, I think that this whole situation is having a pretty weird impact on the market overall. And so I want to talk a little bit about what I think those implications could be, how we can kind of deal with those, and what maybe comes next over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, and maybe even onwards after that coming into 2025. So anyway, let's go on ahead, dive right in. So starting out, what we can see is we're actually going to start with CoinGecko today because we can see obviously a massive spike in trading volume. A lot of this I think has been in anticipation of Trump's inauguration, which did happen about two-ish hours ago, I would say. So that's kind of what we're seeing so far. Tons of volatility coming up. We've seen market cap hold relatively steady. It has come a decent bit down just on the day. Crypto as an entire whole is coming down about 5%. What we can see is looking, Bitcoin's actually retaken that $100,000 amount, which is nice. XRP still holding the number 3 spot. We are also seeing Ethereum doing decently. Ethereum has been one that's kind of, I would say, lagged relatively hard compared to a lot of what we've seen out of some of these top crypto projects. So that's been, I think, a little bit of surprise to a lot of people. But more importantly, what we can see is if we come down here to the number 27, we can see this is where Trump's meme is, which is insane to me. I mean, so at the peak, at least when I saw it, it was over $11 billion. So I think it was the 21 spot coin like less than 24 hours after launching, which is just crazy. So if we look, we can see that the fully diluted market cap is $40 billion, which is huge because we can see that the circulating supply is actually only about 20% of the total supply. So there's going to be massive inflation coming into this coin. I frankly think it's not going to go very well outside of maybe 1 to 2 weeks from now. Even still, I think we may have seen kind of the top here at $72. I mean, that's a decent chunk, especially when you think about fully diluted. There's a billion coins here. That's a $72 billion market cap. We're talking about Dogecoin level market cap, which I suppose isn't completely out of the realm of reason just because Trump is super pro crypto. He's very famous. Obviously, he's the current sitting president. A lot of that type of stuff. We'll talk about some of that here in a second. But with that being said, I mean, maybe that becomes a little bit reasonable, but at least from my perspective personally, so I actually missed this because I was traveling, coming back to where I live. I was traveling, so I missed kind of this whole like run-up side of things. And so since I missed this whole run-up side of things, the trade just isn't, it's just not a good trade anymore in my opinion, because we're already sitting at $8 billion. It's already a huge market cap. It's an even bigger fully diluted market cap. I just don't think it makes a whole ton of sense. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm more than happy to sit this one out. Obviously, there's a ton of people who made a ton of money doing this, which obviously, good for them. But that's something that I'm not really comfortable trading anymore at this point. The risk reward, as we've talked about on the channel, I'm always thinking about kind of maximum risk versus maximum reward. And right now it seems far more maximum risk rather than maximum reward. I know I always talk about how Sui's going to get crushed because it's only sitting about 30% diluted. Well, if you look, 20% diluted here. So I think this is not going to go well in the long term, in my opinion. Now, if we continue along down, we can actually see we will come across Melania's token as well. She actually was inside the top 100, but it looks like it may have fallen out. Here we can see down at the 134 spot, we have Melania's token at an $800 million market cap. Again, this one is only 15% diluted, so even worse than what we saw out of Trump's. Fully diluted here at about $5 billion. We did see this actually go pretty crazy, hitting tops of almost over $13 here. So again, fully diluted market cap, that's a $13 billion market cap. Really crazy stuff though. If we look at the volume, 24 hours on this 8.7 billion. If we look at Trump's coin, I think it was over 30 billion. So some absolutely extreme numbers coming out of these two meme coins. Obviously, crypto is trustless, it's permissionless. People can do whatever they want to do, and that's why we're seeing some of this stuff. But what we've seen, because of all of the trading volume on both the Trump and Melania meme coins, we can see that on crypto, it's pretty much red everywhere today. People were speculating that Trump's inauguration may be a little bit of a sell the news type of event. A lot of red on the day here. We can see though that the week kind of running up to the inauguration was really, really strong, but this did kind of turn out to be a little bit of a sell the news type of event, like a lot of people were forecasting. So we can see a lot of ones that we talk about here on the channel. Virtual's down 10.1, Solana down 10.1, ICP down 6.3, Jasmy down at 6.7, Bitcoin down here at almost 2%, 1.9%. And then we have Trump here down 40%, kind of seeing a pretty strong pullback from that initial kind of mania run up that we did see. One thing that we are seeing here coming on X though is that Trump is now live on Coinbase, which I think is kind of crazy to be honest. I don't really know, like, I mean, it's drawing a ridiculous amount of volume, right? So from Coinbase's perspective, it does very much so make sense to list the Trump coin, just because they're going to be collecting a ridiculous amount of trading fees off of that if volume continues kind of like it has been. So that is a pretty interesting situation that we do have going on here. So I'm imagining that it is probably going to be a race to list Trump on basically every exchange possible. Here we can see BTCC. I'm actually not even sure if they have Trump trading. It does not look like they have Trump trading currently. So maybe not possible to trade Trump, at least right now, but I would imagine BTCC will be very, very quickly there to pick it up. We can see on the Bitcoin chart that we did actually break all-time highs with kind of part of this run-up that we were seeing. We obviously have pulled a decent bit back. We're just above this liquidity zone. This is kind of like that upper level of liquidity that I have been talking about. This is kind of like the last I would say difficult point of resistance before we actually start taking on new all-time highs. We're currently holding above this range of support, so if we can close out of it, maybe it's a good thing. But again, we actually probably could change this level of support and bring it up something like this, I would say, just because we've seen so much volatility kind of up in here, but not actually anything staying above it. And so I think if we were to kind of break out of this, and realistically, even at this point, we could probably even just run this all the way up to all-time highs, but we'll actually probably bring it kind of like this. I think that's probably a better zone. But between this zone and then this kind of resistance level at new all-time highs, this is kind of what we're going to be kind of focused against or working against to kind of break out. So that's what we're seeing right now. Until we see kind of a sustained breakout up to this upside, we're probably just going to be ranging kind of like we've seen basically since like the last part of November. So it's kind of moving around up here, liquidating as many people as possible, all of that type of stuff. But so far, if we can see a sustained break to the upside, then we could be seeing, what potentially could be those runs up to the cycle highs at this point in time. If you are wanting to find a new place to trade, I do have that link to BTCC in the description. They've got a really, really good offer, 10% bonus on first-time deposits, which is basically free money. So it's a really, really good place to trade. Also, that's in addition to the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. So some really, really great bonuses here for signing up if you are looking for a new place to trade. Been around for 13 years, have 300 plus crypto futures. Like I said, I'd be very, very surprised if they didn't have Trump listed within, I don't know, maybe the next 3 to 5 days if I had to guess. Up to 500x leverage, but I wouldn't be recommending you use leverage that high, but they do have a ton of flexible leverage options if you are looking to trade leverage, or if not, they also just do have spot as well. And then no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something that is interesting to you. So obviously, a lot of really great options here. I actually did take a trade on WEEX. I did 733% on a 20x long on Solana. If we go back and we look at the Solana chart, we can see, actually, we'll just go back to BTCC. But if we go back and we look at the Solana chart, we saw a really ridiculous run, almost cracking 300. So when we did that, I actually took some profits here up, I think at like 285 or something like that. We saw a really, really nice return here. This is the type of return that you can get when you use leverage. But again, it is very, very risky. There's a very, very realistic and fairly even likely possibility that I could have been liquidated if obviously the trade didn't go the way that I was hoping. Of course it did, but you just have to be very, very careful. I was trading on WEEX just because that's where I've been doing a little bit of trading recently. I do like to work with BTCC though, just because their deposit bonuses are frankly really, really nice. If you sign up with WEEX, I believe they give you about $10,000, but with BTCC, they give you that 10% bonus on first-time deposits. It's free. It's guaranteed. There's nothing you have to do to earn it. I mean, it's a really, really good deal. So I will probably leave the link to WEEX if you are interested in trading there as well. like if I were somebody who's wanting to get signed up, my personal preference would probably be towards BTCC just because I like the free money. But if you, or whatever reason, are looking for a different exchange or another option as well, I'll probably leave a link to them as well. So anyway, that's kind of what we're seeing with the whole Trump and Melania mania. I'll give you a little bit of my thoughts here, just to kind of how I'm looking at it. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm not really looking at trading Trump. I'm also not really looking at trading the Melania coin either, just because I kind of missed both of them while I was traveling. And at this point in time, I just don't really see the like risk to reward. Obviously, it's a meme coin. There's no real value associated to it other than just kind of the tokenized culture and all that type of stuff, which is totally fine. But $8 billion for Trump and just shy of $1 billion on Melania is already a pretty steep price to pay. And so that's not something that I'm really looking to get into, just because the asymmetric risk doesn't seem to be there anymore. Right now, it seems maybe even equivalent or maybe even more weighted towards the risk side. I'm thinking about maybe coming up with like a CADE metric of like risk to reward, like asymmetric risk index or something like that. I think that could be kind of an interesting type of indicator or something like that to have, just based on kind of my opinions, what I'm seeing in the market, things like that. If we were to have that type of indicator, both the Trump and Melania coin would definitely be on the lower end of like essentially higher risk, lower reward. So that's not something I'm looking to trade in right now. The other thing, just from like a wider and a larger crypto perspective, is I don't like, politics completely aside, I just don't really like the optics of what's really going on right now. I think there obviously has been a ton of mania and things going on with the Trump coin and the Melania coin and all that type of stuff. We've obviously seen a ridiculous amount of volume. Because of that, we are seeing a ton of liquidity sucked out of altcoins, and in my opinion, some like fairly legitimate and useful altcoins. So with that, I do think that there could be some projects on fire sale right now that really have gotten beat down maybe a little bit harder than they should have because of something like this. Again, it's not like because the crypto market is bad, it's just because all eyes are directed on something different. So, you know, a quick example here is both ICP and Jasmy have kind of fallen below their key support levels that I was talking about. ICP is like just barely fallen below, but Jasmy is fallen about 10% below that 3% support level that I was really kind of looking at. So with that, you know, potentially there are some better buying opportunities, simply because attention has kind of rotated away from some of these altcoins. And so that's always something that we need to be kind of assessing and taking a closer look at here. But overall, kind of what we're seeing just within the wider and larger market, I just don't love the optics of it, right? Meme coins generally don't do particularly well. They don't have a lot of like long-term staying power. They're extremely volatile. And so with all of that, I don't know. I just don't think it really looks great to have like the sitting president and first lady having their own meme coins that, you know, maybe they haven't made a bunch of money on, but given that they've endorsed them, I would imagine they've made a decent bit of money off that. Obviously, there's going to be a large contingent of retail that is going to probably lose a decent bit of money. Obviously, you know, maybe crypto native people are going to lose money as well, but I don't think it's not gonna breed a whole bunch of goodwill, in my opinion. And also, just of course, meme coins are a thing. They've been happening for, you know, years now at this point. But when we're looking at kind of the pro crypto president, obviously my hopes are that he's going to be pushing super like pro crypto regulation. We're going to see a lot of innovation and stuff going on with crypto. And so because of that, I think there's going to be a lot of like optimism and people being really happy and psyched about crypto, potentially leads off into, you know, a fantastic bull run, all this type of stuff. But if we see something like this and then it goes poorly and people feel like they got rugged, and I think it could breed a little bit of animosity just towards the wider crypto space and the person who's supposed to be kind of ushering in this golden era of crypto, at least in the United States. And so that's some of my thoughts, essentially, is why I don't really like how this looks. I think there's going to be a lot of risk and potential like liability that the crypto industry as a whole could bear because of this. And so, of course, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We've got some potentially good buying opportunities here, but then also I do think it kind of raises the potential of some backlash and some negative outcomes for the crypto industry as a whole. So those are a few of my thoughts of kind of what I think about this whole situation, what I'm doing about it, you know, how I view it, a lot of that type of stuff. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section below, because I do try to read and respond to all of those. I'd also really like your guys' opinions on what you think. Like, do you think this is great because it's going to bring on new retail? I kind of think that as well, but if all this new retail ends up getting burned, not really kind of the point. So, you know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think Trump's going to 100 billion? Do you know, all that type of stuff. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and feedback in terms of kind of how that ends up looking. Also, if you did find the information in this video useful or valuable, please do give me a like and a subscribe. I do daily daily crypto content. So if you are looking to kind of stay updated and stay up to speed within the crypto space, I'm always releasing new videos about just kind of somewhat broad content within the overall crypto market, so you can get a pretty good sense of kind of what's going on, how the market's developing, a lot of that type of stuff. So like I said, like and a subscribe really do go a long way. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you in the next video.